Welcome into a special edition of an HD Media product. I'm your host, Taylor Kennedy, and thank you all for watching us. However you may be watching us, whether it be on our website across all of our publications or on our Facebook channels, for all of them as well under the HD Media umbrella, I am pleased to be joined this week by the new leader of HD Media, Mr. Phil Perry.
Taylor, thanks for having me. Glad to be here. Proud to be here.
Absolutely. Well, the idea for this is to kind of give our audience across all of our publications an idea, a better idea, I should say, as to who you are and kind of give them a little bit of the lay of the land of your vision moving forward. Obviously, the sudden and tragic passing of Doug Skaff a couple weeks back has put you into this role as the new leader, but let's kind of start there. Going into this a couple of days, maybe even a week after Doug passed away, what was going through your mind into possibly pursuing this opportunity?
Well, I didn't pursue the opportunity, and it's not it's not the type of situation that you want to be thrown into. And, you know, respectfully to Doug, it was brought to me, and it wasn't something I or anyone else pursued that I know of. You know, it was, we were all gobsmacked, for lack of a better term, at the time. But I will say, last year when Doug ran for Secretary of State, you know, it was clear that he was going to step down as HD Media president, as he should have at that time. And I was approached about it then, but that didn't happen. Doug lost the election, and we went back to normal. I went back to running the weekly, our weekly products, overseeing our weekly products, and you know, I just kind of moved on and went back to my daily work. And then when this happened, the opportunity arose again, and I accepted. So,
before we keep going further, let's talk a little bit about Doug and just your recollections of him and what you will remember him by whenever we're 5, 10, 15 years down the line. When you look back at the life of Doug Skaff, what would you remember?
Sure. I knew Doug a little bit prior to him coming on board as president, but what I learned about him quickly was his energy. And, you know, a guy in his late 40s, he had the energy of a 25-year-old. And anyone who worked around Doug knew that. And Doug had a way of including everyone. He had a way of making everyone in the building, regardless of what publication that he was visiting, made them feel like they were a part of it. And not just made them feel like they were a part of it, made them know they were a part of the bigger whole. And that is what I appreciated about him the most. And his passion for news, he had a passion for this, and it was very genuine. And it took a little while for me to realize that, but I did. And he made, you know, and I'm an old journalist, been in the business 30 years, so, you know, it's not easy to fool me. But Doug was genuine in his love for this.
When this was brought to your attention, back whenever Doug was running for Secretary of State, and now this time around, I mean, what does that tell you about the job that you've been able to do managing the weeklies for the last couple of years?
Well, it's, you know, we have 11 weeklies in 3 states, and, you know, it involved a lot of travel. I also took on the role of the Director of Acquisitions and Development, and that included evaluating publications who had an interest in purchasing. So, you know, I had a dual role, and in that dual role, I learned a lot from Doug, because Doug was a businessman, and so Doug helped me out in that way as well. He and I worked on a lot of projects. I mean, we've brought on, in the last 4 years, the Virginia Mountaineer, the Lebanon News, Portsmouth Daily Times, Portsmouth Daily Times. And the Webster Echo is another product that we've added. So through those processes, I learned a lot about the business side of the newspaper business. So it helped me a lot.
When you talk about your vision now moving forward, I mean, I know we'll talk about these last couple of weeks here in a second, but your vision moving forward. I mean, I know this industry can be a roller coaster of emotion at certain points, but you've stuck with it for as long as you have. But moving forward with this publication, but also the others that you manage now, what's your vision with the grand scheme of things moving forward?
Sure. I think it's it's a dual thing. I think we have to embrace our legacy print readers, and always fight for them. Always fight for the print product. But looking ahead, I think we have to be open-minded enough to develop our digital products, and I think we need we need to be able to capture younger readership as well. And as Doug would say, why can't we give them the full enchilada? That was a Doug saying, and it's really true. We can embrace both. I don't think you have to embrace one or the other, and we're not ready to give up on print. And across the country, I think that's something publishers are examining and continually reevaluating. And if you talk to publishers in other states, of various news organizations, they'll tell you that what we're doing here in West Virginia, we're actually ahead of the game in a lot of ways. And they're very interested in not just what HD Media is doing, but other news organizations across the state are doing. And I think that moving forward, partnerships with other news organizations is very, very important, especially in rural areas like West Virginia. I think it's very important that we have relationships with each other that are positive and that we can help each other out, because at the end of the day, this industry, we're in this together. So we've got to pull the rope together so that we can all be successful in the end.
You mentioned how West Virginia is ahead of the curve in some areas. Where are we ahead of the curve? I mean, just from what you've been told and from what you've seen, where are we leading in certain areas?
Sure. Streaming, for one thing. Other publishers are very interested in what we're doing on the streaming side, and video as well, and products like this. They're very interested in how we're producing these things. In that area, we're definitely ahead of the curve.
What have these last couple of weeks been like for you? I know we kind of talked briefly before we started doing this, but what have these last couple of weeks been like for you, and just trying to soak everything in?
It's been educational in some ways, and it's been amazing to me how many people have reached out, not just internally but externally, and offered help. Wanted to start a new relationship, which is a big part of my job. Is developing and maintaining relationships across the state. So it's been a whirlwind, really. It's been positive. I think that the first thing that I needed to do is visit our employees and let them know that I'm here and that I'm behind them and I appreciate them. And one of the things I love about our roster of employees, use a sports analogy, is that we have a mixture of mature employees, that have been here 20, 30 years, and then we have talented young people in the organization like you. And I think that's the perfect mix for success, and I really appreciate that.
So Phil, staying competitive in this market, whether it be statewide, whether it be nationwide for that matter, what's your vision in trying to keep HD Media and the publications under this umbrella competitive in this market, whether it be dying, whether it be trying to keep its head above water? How do you envision that moving forward?
Well, as I've expressed to each one of our department directors, I want to hear all the ideas. Don't feel like that an idea is silly or irrelevant. We need to analyze everything, and everyone needs to be an idea producer in this, particularly when it comes to developing digital products, which is the key here. When you talk about moving forward and adapting to what news looks like in the future and how people consume news in the future, we want to be ahead of the game. We don't want to look around us to see what other people are doing. I think, we need to be a leader in that, and not just locally, but I think across the state. That's the goal anyway. And it's like Michael Jordan said, on the way to championships, it's a million failures along the way. I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say that exactly, but there will be failures along the way, and I'm going to fail. But that happens on the way to victory. So I think we have to keep our collective vision. We have to have that collective vision. We need everyone pulling the rope in the same direction. And I think we have that right now.
You mentioned a couple of minutes ago just the legacy reader versus now trying to get the sexiness behind bringing in a younger audience, trying to figure out ways to attract a younger audience in and letting them stay consistent in what we're doing. How do you kind of go about doing that and attracting a younger audience that may not be as familiar with the newspaper business as myself or some of the people in their 20s here that work here at HD Media?
Well, we live in a scrolling society. You know, they say if you can't capture someone in the first 7 seconds, you've lost them. So keeping that in mind moving forward with all of our products, it is a TikTok world. And, particularly in that demographic that we're trying to target and capture. So, that's what we have to keep in mind. If we can't capture someone in those first few seconds, we've lost them. So, we're keeping our eye on that with all of our products moving forward.
Now, on the flip side of that, trying to keep your legacy reader there as well and not leave them in the rearview mirror, how do you kind of balance that now, trying to keep the legacy reader and while also trying to bring in a new attraction for the younger reader?
Yeah, that's a good question. Our over 45, probably maybe 50 and above, prefer the print product. And, a lot of people don't know, and this is something interesting. We print right now 19 products that we don't own. 19 publications here in Charleston that we don't own. So, that's also a side of this as well. That's an alternative form of revenue, that's really helped us. But, keeping our legacy reader satisfied and engaged in that product is something I'll always fight for, until that subscription base tells me that it's not. So there will come a time when digital is everything's going to be digital. Let's be honest. That time is coming, and I'm not denying that. But I don't think we're as close as a lot of people think. I think our numbers show that there is an appetite for the print product.
You're a Boone County native. You played football at Sherman. Obviously, Tony Gibson, a Van guy, the new Marshall football coach, was just a couple of years behind you. You guys were both named to the Cole Valley News all paper team or something like that.
All county.
Yeah, all county. Yeah, exactly. All county team. So you understand the importance, and you've been in this industry for a while. You understand the importance of local news, local sports, and stuff like that. When you talk to your different managers, how much of an emphasis is trying just to keep it with them of this product's working, let's not abandon that ship and try and go off in a different way. Let's just stay the course and let's just try and see how much longer we can be successful in this.
Sure. And speaking specifically to our weekly publications, sports is king. It is, even, when you look at the numbers, and what people are clicking on and reading, high school sports is strong in Southern West Virginia, and they support their teams. But I think we just named Richie Ray as the managing editor over our weekly products. He's taken my old position. And Richie really has a feel for each individual community. And what he's done, he manages all of the weekly products, but he directly edits 4 of those papers. So he is directly involved in 4 of those communities, and specifically in Portsmouth, what he's done with that paper in terms of audience engagement has been really impressive. And I'm excited to see what Richie's going to continue to do for us.
What's the biggest question mark you have with where we're at right now that you're wanting to improve down the line?
Well, I think as the conversation we had prior to this, making sure that we have the tools that we need in the kit to do what we're trying to achieve, and that includes investing in equipment and investing in our people. Those are investing in people is first, obviously, but investing in talented people and making sure that they have the tools to do what they need to do and don't struggle with that. To me, that's a big priority moving forward.
So when you look at the dynamic of people that we have across all of our publications under the HD Media umbrella, what's your biggest takeaway from the people that we have currently here?
Well, that's vast, and that's really interesting. And getting to know each person at each publication. We have some people in this company who have to work remotely. And, this is a very rural area when you get down in the southern coal fields. And, putting people in a position to win, which is how I ran our weekly products, is the best thing that you can do as a leader. And you have to evaluate each person and what their talents are and what they do best and where they can succeed. If you put someone in a position not to succeed, they're not going to. So that evaluation of people is something that I stress with all of our directors. Put your people in a place where they can do well and be their best.
What's allowed you to stay in this industry? I know, again, talking about this industry, this industry looks a lot differently now than it did 25 years ago at the turn of the century, but
sure.
What's allowed you to kind of stay in this industry and continue to build off of what you've done?
In my career, I'm not proud of this, but I had to leave the state of West Virginia for a total of probably a dozen years to find work to take care of my family. I spent a lot of time in the Charlotte, Mecklenburg County area, working publications there as an editor and as an investigative reporter. But I did what I had to do. And in 2017, I saw an opportunity to come back. I'd gotten wind that HD was going to purchase the Southern West Virginia papers. And they didn't have an editor's position available, so I took a reporter's position at the Coal Valley News, and I was happy to do it. It's my hometown paper. It was kind of a bucket list thing to come back and be a part of the Coal Valley News for some time, which coincidentally is celebrating 100 years this year, and we're right now planning a banquet to celebrate that. We're going to have some former employees come back and speak, some former editors from the paper from the 80s even. So, celebrating those milestones are really important to me with each one of our products. And, of course, the Coal Valley News is dear to my heart, so I'm particularly looking forward to that.
How much of a help has it been for you whenever it's been managing the weeklies, of looking back on your time as a reporter and just understanding and being in the mind of a reporter and understanding, like you mentioned, the wants and the needs and investing? I mean, how important and how often do you normally go back to that time as a reporter as you've managed now for the last couple of years? Absolutely.
It's helped me so many times to have that experience. I don't have the business experience, and that's where working under Doug really helped me a lot. And I have to mention our former executive editor, Lee Wolverton. Lee was a big influence on me in that way, and I constantly picked Lee's brain. And our former publisher, Jim Heddy. I call Jim and have long conversations with Jim, about things that I may not understand completely. And Jim's been a great resource to me. And I think it's important to reach back and tap into those resources and not be too proud to ask questions. And that's really what's helped me a lot, is not being too proud to say I don't understand something. So that's what's helped me the most.
You mentioned the business side of things. What's the biggest thing that you've learned on the business side of things that you're trying to apply now as the leader of HD Media?
Well, I think it comes down to multiple streams of revenue. You can't lean too hard on one product. So the more streams of revenue that we have, the healthier we're going to be. And I'm not talking about streams of revenue unrelated to media. They all have to help support HD Media, and they all have to be a news product. So that's probably the thing that I've learned the most.
What's your big picture? What's your big idea in regards to the future of this company, whether it be, again, 5, 10, 15 years down the line?
Well, I think preserving what we have accomplished up to this point, preserving that and defending it is number one to me. But again, it comes back to developing these digital products, and we need to be ahead of that curve in 5 years, and implementation in the first 5 years, growth in the second 5 years. That's where we need to be with that.
What was football like for you playing at Sherman? You weren't expecting a football question, were you?
No, I wasn't. My coach during that time, Bill Miller, legendary Boone County coach, passed away, I believe, last year, and that kind of took me back through a lot of memories, going to his services and seeing a lot of friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. But it was tough for us then. We were in the Cardinal Conference. We were a small AA team, and we were having to go up against the Goliaths of Winfield at that time. Sissonville was really good back then, and it was tough for little Sherman to hang in there. But the great memories and team sports. I played baseball and basketball as well. Team sports really helped me. The inclusivity of working together with other people and making sure everyone's included, making sure that we're all working together as a team. Team sports, without that, I don't know if I would have had that attitude now. That's where I learned that. So, yeah.
When you see sports as relevant as it was back in the 1980s to where we are now in 2025, I mean, you mentioned how sports is king with a lot of these Southern publications. Why do you think that is? I mean, obviously, everybody wants to know what's going on in the news, but also everybody wants to be able to identify with their local team. But why do you think that is now with the coal business going down and just trying to figure out the identification side of things with these Southern publications?
I think it comes down to community, and I think sports brings people together. And I think as these communities, unfortunately, we're seeing, more people leaving these small communities, mostly in search of work. They're not as stealthy as they once were in terms of population, but the people that are there because they want to be there. And I think sports is something that everyone unites around, in these small communities. Like even in, we have a publication in Webster County. It's the same. They love their sports. And as we developed that sports page and made it better, I'll say that since we bought the paper, we've made that sports product much better. The community has reacted to it. And I've loved seeing that, and I love getting those emails saying that they love what we've done with the sports department in Webster. So, but I think it's something people rally around.
What was a young Tony Gibson like?
I didn't know Tony real well. I did get to interview him as a reporter at the Coal Valley. He came back for a Christmas event, and I got to catch up with him then. But Tony was very aggressive. That was the best way. That's how I remember him from high school, as being very aggressive.
We can't go away without mentioning your cover band and your musical talents as well, because you are a very well-versed person in regards to a businessman, but you're also into music as well. Kind of give us that background and why you kind of stuck around with that too.
With music. Music's a big part of my life. It always has been. I started playing music when I was in high school. I started dabbling with it and got really serious about it in college. And I had a college band that played around. We made a little extra cash on the weekends. So I can remember actually playing a football game at Glenville State in the afternoon, and then my cover band would go out and play that night. So I would literally put the shoulder pads down and pick up a guitar. So a lot of good memories then. But I still play. I have a a guitar duo now called Duo Ashfordo, and it's all instrumental guitar. Me and another guitar player named Darren Kirk. Recently, I was in an 80s tribute band called Hair Supply. It was a tribute to 80s hair metal, which was my time in the 80s as a teenager growing up, and I had a lot of fun with that. I just saw my career responsibilities. I could see around the corner that I really didn't have time for a project that big, so I stepped away from it. They're still playing and doing very well. I'm proud of those guys.
What kind of music, who was your favorite band growing up?
It would depend on the genre of music, but I've always been a jazz fan, so I was always into Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, Coltrane, all that stuff. On the rock side, Journey, Van Halen, the typical 80s kid music. My CD case or cassette case back then, and I'm really going to date myself, was pretty versatile. I mean, I listen to everything. I mean, I'm attracted to all music. There's not a genre of music that I don't love. I just love music.
What about favorite rock band?
Of all time?
Mm-hmm.
Van Halen.
Ooh, I like it. I like that choice.
David Lee Roth here, Van Halen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, Phil, thank you for your time. This was very educational in a lot of different areas for not only the Charleston Gazette-Mail and the publication here in Charleston, but also for all of our other ones. You mentioned Webster County, you mentioned Portsmouth, Huntington, all points in between. So thank you for giving a little bit of light as to who you are and your vision moving forward. So we appreciate your time.
I appreciate you having me. It was an honor.
Absolutely. Be sure to check out your publication in your local neighborhood near you. You can go to our website here in Charleston by going to our website, wvgazettemail.com, and be sure to check out everything else on there. And again, go pick up a local newspaper or go subscribe to any of our websites across all of our publications under the HD Media umbrella. I'm Taylor Cayley. That's Phil Perry. We're signing off.